Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be giving you my Aquarius March 2018 horoscope forecast. And yes, this does apply and pertain to the Sun, Moon, and Ascendant. Anyway, people, first thing up is as far as March goes, the Sun will be in Pisces from the 1st until the 20th. So the second house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. So at this time, there could be a strong concentration of power, focus, attention, put into compassion, idealism, imagination, and altruism in matters pertaining to money, to finances, really to things that you may value. Imagination may be going into ways of generating income and being idealistic in the process, really reaching for the stars, so to speak. But at the same time, it could also be a lot of this energy and attention and focus could be put into dealing with chaos and confusion in one's finances at this time. And it might even be matters, confusion in one's self-worth and self-esteem at this time as well. And anyway, the next thing up is, as far as March goes, the Sun will be in Aries from the 20th until the 31st. So the third house is what will be emphasized and highlighted for Aquarius. So at this time for Aquarius, there could be strong tension, focus, concentration of power and energy into assertiveness, aggression, courage, and fortitude, and even spontaneity in matters connected with transportation, short journeys, siblings, and even neighbors as well. This could be a time too where you might, be more confrontational and combative as far as matters with siblings and neighbors as well. It could be matters in standing up for these people, or you might be engaging in confrontations and be somewhat of a provocateur, so to speak, at this time with these people. At the same time, when the Sun's in Aries, this is a very energetic period, and a lot of that Aries energy could be going into third house matters such as communications and even the short journeys, the dealings with siblings, and also with neighbors as well at this time. And where the Sun is really about also where one wants to shine. And so you might want to show it might be a time where you really want to put a lot of this energy into maybe being first and standing out in some kind of communications field, or really be maybe the first to do something in matters with siblings and things of that nature. Aries is often about being first, so in leadership. So anyway, and standing out in this manner as well. So anyway, next thing up is, the full moon will be in Virgo on March 1st, so the 8th house as well will be emphasized and highlighted for Aquarius at this time. So at this time, this could be a time when Aquarius might become tired or full, perhaps of somebody in maybe in a sexual or intimate relationship being overly critical, judgmental, or even pedantic. It also could be a time for Aquarius where maybe there's a culmination or completion of some health-related transformation or metamorphosis, such as a detoxing program, or it could even be through working out vigorously. And also it could be something where something comes to an end, like an insurance matter or tax-related situation that really had a lot of this Virgo-like incessant worrying going on with it. So anyway, and really, and that's those are some things to look at as far as this goes. Now, the next thing up is, the new moon will be in Pisces on March 17th. So the second house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. So this could be perhaps a new way of generating money might happen at this time. It could be something Pisces related, such as something with the metaphysical, which can include astrology, oceanography, something with water, chemistry, dancing, even poetry. uh, pharmaceutical work. This could also be a new time, perhaps even of incorporating idealism, altruism, compassion strongly in one's values, or even spirituality, perhaps at this time. And really, too, I mean, the second house is also about our possessions as well. So this could be, in some cases, perhaps a new Pisces-like possession is purchased at this time. And I mean, it could be something associated with astrology, or something with anything else with the metaphysical, something with chemistry, something that might be anything that could be Pisces related at this time, something connected with dancing, or even I mean, you look at it, or something that's associated with spirituality, and it could be just something that could be Pisces related, something mystical. It might be a very good purchase for you at this time, and really could lead and be also connected with some new beginnings. So anyway, well, the next thing up is, well, Mercury will be in Pisces for as far as March goes, from the 1st until the 6th. So the second house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. So at this time, for Aquarius, well, there might be more idealistic thinking in matters pertaining to one's values, their self-esteem and self-worth. At the same time, communications pertaining to things of a monetary nature may be a little bit more cryptic and ambiguous than usual. And it could be a time too, Aquarius, where you need to be very prudent and careful, because you might be more susceptible to financial fraud or phishing scams, expeditions, so to speak, at this time than usual. And also, this could be, I mean, remember that Mercury is also about short journeys, and it could be a time where you might be doing more short journeys where that involves self-sacrificing. Maybe the journeys are such where it takes time out of you from making money and generating income, or they could be something that is maybe you're doing you're going on some errands, maybe for people that are associated with the place where you're generating your income. And anyway, but at this time too, just be careful too of maybe deceptive conversations and communications with those that that might be at the place where you're making money. So anyway, well, the next thing up is, well, Mercury will be in Aries as far as March goes, from the 6th until the 31st. So the third house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. So at this time for Aquarius, well, this could be a time where you may be more aggressive and assertive and impetuous and even impulsive in your communications, perhaps with siblings, with neighbors even. At this time, too, there can be a lot of, I mean, you're talking about Mercury and the third house, so there could be a lot of this assimilation of information and maybe learning a little bit about a lot. But because Mercury is in Aries at this time, it's about really maybe being too impatient to actually learn everything you would like to learn. And anyway, at the same time, you could be having a lot of original and pioneering ideas and sharing them with siblings and neighbors and even people in your general day-to-day communications, or people you might happen to see during your short journeys. It could be storekeepers, for example. And also, too, I mean, keep in mind that it's going to be a Mercury, as far as March goes, will be retrograde from the 23rd until the 31st. So you might still be very outspoken in your communications at this time and forthright in them, but there might be a little bit more review before speaking. So anyway, well, the next thing up is Venus will be in Pisces as far as March goes, from the 1st until the 6th. So the second house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. So at this time, just be wary, Aquarius, that you're not being beguiled or deceived you through some kind of deceptive charm at this time in order maybe to get from others to get money from you. People that are just being nice just for those reasons, just to maybe get some of your possessions or something of a monetary nature. There also might be more unrealistic spending at this time, and perhaps in matters connected with improving one's self-esteem or self-worth, or maybe to accumulate and amass possessions. And also at this time, there could be an expression of, there might be more about a love of fantasizing about making money, maybe than actually doing it, and it could, because of that, you might wind up hurting yourself to some degree and not really, getting the things you need in terms of your resources and possessions as a result. And because when the Venus is in Pisces, it's often more of a love of lethargy and fantasizing and loafing than it is to really want to do something. But at the same time, it could also give a love of the metaphysical, which can include astrology and other Pisces-related things such as dancing and poetry, and really might be tied into your values more at this time. So anyway, well, the next thing up is Venus will be in Aries as far as March goes, from the 6th until the 31st. So the third house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. So at this time for Aquarius, there could be more spontaneous, impulsive, and impetuous spending at this time, perhaps on neighbors, on siblings, maybe, and even matters connected with communications and maybe even books. For example, things where maybe which have to do with you learning, may also be about the enjoyment of things that are combative and competitive that you might share with neighbors and or siblings. Perhaps it could be maybe going to sporting venues or things associated with competition, or it could be actually even engaging with just maybe some wrestling or some kind of boxing or karate with these people as well. And also, Aquarius, if you are unattached at this time, this could be a time where maybe you find maybe love or somebody that could be a prospective significant other that may be in your neighborhood. It might be introduced to you by a neighbor or a sibling, perhaps someone you see in your short journeys. It could be a sun, moon, or ascendant in Aries, or simply somebody that embodies those characteristics. Well, next thing up is, well, Mars will be in Sagittarius as far as March goes, from the 1st until the 17th. So the 11th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. So at this time, well, for Aquarius, this could be a time where there might be more philosophical differences with friends, with acquaintances. It could be more arguments with these people over religion, philosophy, higher education, even sports. But at the same time, there might be more exuberant and enthusiastic energy injected into matters connected with aspirations, goals, and one's future. And it could be a lot of positive energy in these things as well, given that we're talking about Sagittarius. Now, could also, this can indicate the situation in general can be a little bit more contentious and acrimonious with friends and acquaintances. And there might be, there might be a lot of this real strong, forthright, veritable Sagittarius truth mixed in with this. So, and it also, too, it could be a time where you might want to really work off some perhaps anger and aggression and energy, maybe in some kind of outdoor activity, or maybe even something connected with sports and such as working out vigorously with friends, with acquaintances. Anyway, well, next thing up is, well, Mars will be in Capricorn as far as March goes, from the 17th until the 31st. So the 12th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. At this time for Aquarius, well, the first thing up is that the stamina and energy level might be more diminished at this time, so we are talking about Mars and the 12th. But in private matters, you may show a lot of consistent, disciplined, and serious energy. there may be the situation with people that are prominent in your private life might be more contentious and acrimonious than usual. And also be careful about maybe some consistent anger issue might lead to yourself undoing at this time. Remember that the 12th house is also about imprisonment and incarceration, so be careful not to let your temper get the better of you at this time, because there could be a little more propensity for anger issues leading to imprisonment. And also, the thing about this too is that you could also be putting a lot of this consistent, disciplined Capricorn-like energy into helping those less fortunate than you, such as the impoverished, the hungry, and the oppressed. And anyway, well, the next thing up is, well, Jupiter will still be in Scorpio, so the 10th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. It will also be retro from March 8th until the 31st as far as March goes. Now, remember, as I've talked about before, that Jupiter can be somewhat paradoxical. It can be very strongly benign and benevolent, but it could also enlarge and expand issues, and it could increase perhaps some surreptitious and nefarious activity in matters perhaps with authority figures. It could even be the dominant parent, which is often the father, superiors. Now, the thing too is, on a positive note though, there could be more luck and fortune perhaps in a Scorpio like career or vocation. It could be maybe, it could also be maybe luck and fortune making a transformation in one's career, and really in which could help the reputation and be advantageous for the reputation and public image perhaps. And also too, this could also be about, making one's own luck to some degree by really going through perhaps superficial and subterfuge over matters with the dominant parent, which is often the father, authority figures, and even matters connected with your career. And really, the thing about this too is, given this is going to be retro as far as March goes, from the 8th until the 31st, there might be some review over perhaps a philosophy, over making some major change or transformation tied in with your public image, your reputation, and your career. And anyway, next thing up is Saturn in Capricorn will still being Saturn in Capricorn, so the 12th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. So at this time for Aquarius, well, this could be a rather introspective period. Could be a time for Aquarius where you're discarding what is frivolous, restricting, and limiting. And really, the thing about this too is, this could also be a period where you might be taking care of somebody that might be sickly or debilitated in your private life, and really it's somebody prominent in your private life, and it might be something connected with something Capricorn related, such as the knees or the bones. And anyway, it could be making you feel like very, really feeling somewhat despondent and melancholy, perhaps having to do this, or it could just simply be restrictions and limitations in your private life might be making you feel so. And now in some remote isolated cases, this could be the loss of a father, or father might kind of dissipate to some degree out of the person's life, at least on some level, maybe somewhat hidden at this time. And also it's a time where you might be bearing your sorrows more secretively at this time. And really, a lot of this Saturn and 12th house energy could be about fearing what you don't know. I mean, I have this placement natally, and I mean, it's tied into a lot of secluded habits, and really emphasizing solitude and being very introspective. And I did actually lose my father at a very young age. I lost him when I was 3 years old. So a lot of times, that Saturn in the 12th can indicate that. So anyway, well, the next thing up is Uranus will still be in Aries, so the 3rd house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. So at this time for Aquarius, this could be a time where you might even be experiencing a lot of spontaneous and extemporaneous ideas, rather ingenious original thinking, and you might be going on more unanticipated and unpredictable short journeys. And really, there might be some unusual activity connected with people from your early education, perhaps. They might be coming in and out of your life. Your communications in general might be more erratic and sporadic than usual. And the thing about it is you might be, as I stated before, you might be experiencing some original and ingenious thinking. And being in Aries, it could come very abruptly and very quickly and add to the spontaneity of this placement. Now, another thing too is that looking at this, I mean, you're talking about, it could indicate too that maybe siblings and neighbors that you may know might be experiencing more ingenious thinking, or it could be acting in a more bizarre way or unorthodox at this time, and there might be something unusual connected with these people at this time. So anyway, well, the next thing up is Neptune will still be in Pisces, so the second house as well be emphasized and highlighted. So at this time for Aquarius, there might be certain dissipation and dissolving of one's income at this time, and resources and possessions. There may also be, I mean, in some remote cases, there might be where drugs and or alcohol may impact one's income level at this time, whether in some cases it might be selling it, or maybe the use of it leads to less income. Now, also, this could be a time about where you might be experiencing more confusion and ambivalence connected with how you're going to generate income, and even your values might be more nebulous, and matters with self-esteem are a little bit more unclear this time than usual. And I mean, Neptune and Pisces energy can be about false prophets, so make sure you're not, lured in by somebody, that might seem like that at this time, and be very, careful regarding finances at this time, because, Neptune energy could be a little bit kind of forgetful, and it could be very diverting and distracting. And be extra careful, of course, where you're placing your wallet or your pocketbook at this time. So anyway, next thing up is Pluto will still be in Capricorn, so the 12th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. So at this time, this can manifest in a multitude of ways. In some cases, I know a lot of you don't want me to say the dreaded D word, but of course, I say it anyway because it does apply to Pluto energy. This could be, in some cases, a literal death of somebody that may have been prominent in your private life. This could also be in some cases, this could be really dealing with powerful hidden adversaries, or it could be the obliteration and destruction of them. They might somehow come out, and you're able to defeat them, whether it is in some court situation or what have you. Another thing too is that you look at this as well, and you're talking about the Pluto and the 12th house. This could also be, in some cases about, some powerful mental illness, and some isolated cases, or maybe even some cases it could be maybe where it comes to an end, or there's some obliteration or destruction of it. I think a lot of this, of course, depends on the aspects that Pluto is making. If it's making, say, a good aspect to, say, your natal Jupiter, then it could be more auspicious for that. But if it's really, let's say, an adverse aspect to Jupiter, and as an example, then it might actually be more where it might be taking more of a negative, like a control, or of you perhaps. And anyway, but like I said, that's not very, that's something like that is not frequent anyway. But the 12th house is also really, looking at it, it's also about your limitations and restrictions. I think it's trying to get, power perhaps over them at this time, and trying to maybe make a transformation as far as that goes, to maybe do something in connection really with, about maybe things that are limiting and that are restricting at this time. And anyway, well, the next thing up is, well, the North Node will still be in Leo, so the seventh house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. So at this time, well, when the North Node is in transit, it could be about what we have to confront. And at this point in time, it could be perhaps maybe a significant other, somebody in a business partnership that might be rather arrogant, bombastic, domineering, overbearing. It could even be dealing with boisterous and very loud, open adversaries. And it could be where you might have to be a little bit more extravagant in legal and court matters at this time, or even spending an extravagant amount on documents. And at the same time, it might be a time where you might be demanding and commanding more attention and recognition from business partners. It could also be a significant other and wanting to at least be lauded and praised for your efforts in these matters. And also, too, that looking at this might be a time where really it's about you being maybe more generous and magnanimous, and if you're in a business partnership situation or with a significant other, and maybe having to spend a little bit more, whether it's your time or money perhaps with these people. So anyway, next thing up is the Black Moon Lilith will be in Capricorn still, so the 12th houses will be emphasized and highlighted. Well, at this time for Aquarius, this could be about maybe the revelation of a hidden adversary. It might be somebody that could be a Capricorn Sun, Moon, or Ascendant, or simply somebody that embodies those characteristics. It could be someone comes out with a very tyrannical, ruthless, very authoritative, overambitious, someone you see as really cold, callous, and calculating even. And also too, the 12th house is also about clandestine relationships. So it could be a time too where something comes out, or maybe something that's revealed connected with a clandestine relationship you may have had, and maybe it was in order to attain ambitions and gain some greater stature in life or some kind of success. And anyway, it could also be something where another thing that might come out that you might not want out of the bag, so to speak, but it comes out. In some cases, this could be about a limiting or rather depressing kind of private life, and something that causes a lot of despondency, makes you feel very melancholy, or even in some remote isolated cases, very depressing, limiting mental illness that might come out is unveiled perhaps at this time that you didn't want anybody to know about. So anyway, last but not least, Chiron will still be in Pisces. So the second house is what will be emphasized and highlighted for Aquarius. So at this time for Aquarius, well, Aquarius might be dealing with some emotional wounds and suffering connected with duplicity and deception over finances. It could, in some cases, is where one may have succumbed to some kind of phishing scheme or expedition. Another thing too is it could be gullibility over money, or maybe just being overly delusional in terms of what one can actually generate in terms of income, and even just dealing with maybe unrealistic values at this time, and really having and maybe an overestimation and self-deception over one's self-esteem and self-worth. It could be going through sorrows with dissipating, dissolving of finances, possessions, and resources, and really, and also, dealing with unrealistic values, and even the confusion and where your self-worth might be nebulous at this time. But at the same token, remember that Chiron is the wounded healer. So in areas that are connected with Chiron and Pisces in the second house that might be having difficulty with, you may be able to help others with, in doing so with that Pisces like compassion, empathy, and self-sacrifice. Anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment for my Aquarius March 2018 horoscope forecast. Stay tuned next time where I'll be giving you my Pisces March 2018 horoscope forecast. Two things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel but do not compel. And secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis of a person, astrologically speaking, based on this alone, because astrologically speaking, the person is the sum of all their components in their natal chart and not just one. Until next time, people, stay well.